Hare Krishna.
Okay. All right, now we're live. Om Jnanatamrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. And today we're reading from the Science of Self-Realization. We're still in the second chapter, entitled What is a Guru? Or choosing a spiritual master, one of the two. And then the section that we're in is called, what is it? I think it's still, the title is Separating the Saints from the Swindlers, or we might be in another one now. Let me see. Yeah, we're still in Separating the Saints from the Swindlers. And this is an interview with London Times, or yeah, I think it's London Times reporter. So we're just getting here. It's been various questions and answers with Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Reporter, do you think this knowledge should be a part of everyone's education? Srila Prabhupada, yes. People should first be taught what they are. Are they their bodies or something else? That is the beginning of education. Now everyone is educated to think he is his body. Because someone accidentally gets an American body, he thinks, I'm an American. Whoa, Jax is here. Wow, things are looking up. Right. So he thinks, I'm an American. This is just like thinking, I'm a red shirt. Just because you are wearing a red shirt. You are not a red shirt. You're a human being. Don't forget it. You're not a red shirt. Similarly, this body is like a shirt.
Black shirt.
Not a black shirt. I'm not a blue shirt. Wait, hold on. Sorry, I gotta pause. Someone just knocked on the door. Yeah. All right, sit down. We're in session. Similarly, so you're not a red shirt. Oh, look, Money just came in and he's wearing a red shirt. Okay, so now I have to restart. Because someone accidentally gets an American body, he thinks, I'm an
Hare
American.
Krishna, Money.
This is just like thinking, I'm a red shirt. Just because you are wearing a red shirt, you are not a red shirt. You are a human being. Similarly, this body is like a shirt or coat over the real person, the spirit soul. If we recognize ourselves simply by our bodily shirt or coat, then we have no spiritual education. Reporter, do you think that such education should be given in schools? Srila Prabhupada, yes, in schools, colleges, and universities. There is an immense literature on this subject, an immense fund of knowledge. What is actually required is that the leaders of society come forward to understand this movement. Reporter, have you ever had people come to you who had previously been involved with a fake guru? Srila Prabhupada, yes, there are many. Reporter, were their spiritual lives in any way spoiled by the fake gurus? Srila Prabhupada, no. They were genuinely seeking something spiritual, and that was their qualification. God is within everyone's heart, and as soon as someone genuinely seeks him, he helps that person find a genuine guru. Reporter, have the real gurus like yourself ever tried to put a stop to the false gurus? That is, put pressure on them to put them out of business, so to speak? Srila Prabhupada, no, that is not my purpose. I started my movement simply by chanting Hare Krishna. I chanted in New York in a place called Tompkins Square Park, and soon people began to come to me. In this way, the Krishna consciousness movement gradually developed. Many accepted, and many did not accept. Those who are fortunate have accepted. Reporter, don't you feel that people are suspicious because of their experience with fake gurus? If you went to a quack dentist and he broke your tooth, you might be suspicious about going to another dentist. Srila Prabhupada. Yes, naturally. If you are cheated, you become suspicious. But this does not mean that if you are cheated once, you will always be cheated. You should find someone genuine. But to come to Krishna consciousness, you must be either very fortunate or well aware of this science. From the Bhagavad Gita, we understand that the genuine seekers are very few. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye. Bhagavad Gita 7.3. Out of many millions of people, there may be one who is interested in spiritual life. Do you need some water? You need get some water. All right. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Generally, people are interested in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So how can we expect to find many followers? It is not difficult to notice that people have lost their spiritual interest. And almost all those who are actually interested are being cheated by so-called spiritualists. You cannot judge a movement simply by the number of its followers. If one man is genuine, then the movement is successful. It is not a question of quantity, but quality. Reporter, I wonder how many people you think might have been taken in by fake gurus. Srila Prabhupada, practically everyone. There is no question of counting. Everyone. Reporter, this would mean thousands of people, wouldn't it? Srila Prabhupada, millions. Millions have been cheated because they want to be cheated. God is omniscient. He can understand your desires. He is within your heart, and if you want to be cheated, God sends you a cheater. Reporter, is it possible for everyone to attain the perfectional stage you spoke of previously? Hey, where's the joke? Hold on. Whoa, it's Antonio. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Wow. I always feel more fortunate when Antonio joins the call.
Thank you.
Okay. Your reporter says, is it possible for everyone to attain the perfectional stage you spoke of previously? Srila Prabhupada, within a second. Anyone can attain perfection within a second, provided he is willing. The difficulty is that no one is willing. In the Bhagavad Gita, 1866, Krishna says, Sarva dharman prityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Simply surrender unto me. But who is going to surrender to God? Everyone says, oh, why should I surrender to God? I will be independent. If you simply surrender, it is a second's business. That's all. But no one is willing, and that is the difficulty. Reporter, when you say that lots of people want to be cheated, do you mean that lots of people want to carry on with their worldly pleasures, and at the same time, by chanting a mantra or by holding a flower, achieve spiritual life as well? Is this what you mean by wanting to be cheated? Srila Prabhupada, yes. This is like a patient thinking, I shall continue with my disease, and at the same time, I shall become healthy. It is contradictory. The first requirement is that one become educated in spiritual life. Spiritual life is not something one can understand by a few minutes talk. There are many philosophy and theology books, but people are not interested in them. That is the difficulty. For instance, the Srimad Bhagavatam is a very long work, and if you try to read this book, it may take many days just to understand one line of it. The Bhagavatam describes God, the absolute truth, but people are not interested. And if by chance someone becomes a little interested in spiritual life, he wants something immediate and cheap. Therefore, he is cheated. Actually, human life is meant for austerity and penance. That is the way of Vedic civilization. In Vedic times, they would train boys as brahmacharis. No sex life was allowed at all up to the age of 25. Where is that education now? A brahmachari is a student who lives a life of complete celibacy and obeys the commands of his guru at the Gurukul, or the school of the spiritual master. Now, schools and colleges are teaching sex from the very beginning, and 12 or 13-year-old boys and girls are having sex. How can they have a spiritual life? Spiritual life means voluntarily accepting some austerities for the sake of God realization. That is why we insist on no illicit sex, no meat eating, gambling, or intoxication for our initiated students. Without these restrictions, any quote-unquote yoga meditation or so-called spiritual discipline cannot be genuine. It is simply a business deal between the cheaters and the cheated. Reporter, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna. Oh, we have Arjun here. Now we're ready for battle.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
The absolute necessity of a spiritual master is the next section, unless we have any discussion on this point. I really like the clarification Srila Prabhupada gave here about what it means to be cheated, because it was saying, and I was thinking, well, people may not understand that statement, but then the reporter asked this question and clarified it really nicely. We don't want something cheap and fast, because then easy come, easy go, as they say. There's no comments, or if any way that this resonated with any of your own understanding, your realization, or if you just liked a certain point, you can also just share that. All right. In February of 1936 in Bombay, India, the members of a reputed religious society, the Gaudiya Math, were astonished by the powerful and eloquent words of a young member who spoke in honor of his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami. 3 decades later, the young speaker would become the world-renowned founder and spiritual master of the Krishna consciousness movement. Srila Prabhupada's presentation is a memorable statement on the importance of the guru in spiritual life. So this is on the appearance day, I believe. This is an offering Srila Prabhupada wrote. So on the day in which the guru appeared in the world, then it's like a transcendental birthday party, you can say. They call it Vyasa Puja. And because the spiritual master is representing Vyasadeva, you offer your worship to the spiritual master, and it's going up to Vyasadeva, who the spiritual master is sitting on his seat, representing him. And on that day, the disciples or those who are close or have some contact with the spiritual master and have been affected, they write an offering or speak an offering. Sometimes it's poetry, sometimes it's just a letter, whatever it may be. So Srila Prabhupada, I believe you wrote, let's see. Sakshad Dharitwena Samasta Shastre Uptastata Bhavyata Eva Sadbihi Kintu Prabhurya Priya Eva Tasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. In the revealed scriptures, it is declared that the spiritual master should be worshipped like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and this injunction is obeyed by pure devotees of the Lord. The spiritual master is the most confidential servant of the Lord. Thus, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of our spiritual master. Gentlemen, on behalf of the members of the Bombay branch of the Gaudiya Math, let me welcome you all, because you have so kindly joined us tonight in our congregational offerings of homage to the lotus feet of the world teacher, Acharya Dev, who is the founder of this Gaudiya mission and is the president, Acharya, of Sri Sri Vishwa Vaishnava Raja Sabha. I mean my eternal divine master, Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. Wow. Paramahamsa is a swan-like personality who can extract the spiritual essence out of any circumstance. They always are seeing the essence. And a Parivrajak is basically one who travels all over the world, or travels all over and preaches the glories of the Lord. Sri Srimad are two honorifics, are like beautiful, very beautiful. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, that's the name of Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master here above. So this is a glorification and name of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada. 62 years ago, on this auspicious day, the Acharya Dev made his appearance by the call of Thakur Bhakti Vinod at Sri Kshetra Jagannath Dham at Puri. In some context there, Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, who's here, he's the father of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, but he also was praying very fervently, very intensely for some time for a ray of Vishnu to appear to help spread the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was praying very seriously, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, or Bimal Prasad was the name given to him, appeared, and he had exquisite qualities. And astrologically, his chart is just, you can say, profound. It's that of what's known as a Mahabhagavat, a greatly powerful spiritual personality. He appeared like an eternally liberated soul, and he was showing those signs from a very young age. And by his capacity, spiritual and intellectual, and he went down through his entire life as a Naishtiki brahmachari, meaning he never wasted his semen, he never had any contact with women, and that way he stayed as a celibate monk his entire life. So a very powerful personality, and that's saying Bhaktivedanta Thakur was praying for him to come, and he appeared. So gentlemen, the offering of such a homage, as has been arranged this evening to the Acharya Dev, is not a sectarian concern. For when we speak of the fundamental principle of Guru Dev or Acharya Dev, we speak of something that is of universal application. There does not arise any question of discriminating my Guru from yours or anyone else's. There is only one Guru, who appears in infinity of forms to teach you, me, and all others. To teach you, me, and all others. The Guru or Acharya Dev, as we learn from the bona fide scriptures, delivers the message of the absolute world, the transcendental abode of the absolute personality, where everything non-differentially serves the absolute truth. We have heard so many times, Mahaj no yena kata sapanta, traverse the trail which your previous Acharya has passed. And for those who don't know, Acharya is, again, a name of a guru, or it could be the title, which means one who's teaching by their achar, their actions, their practice. They're exemplifying the scripture. So, but we have hardly tried to understand the real purport of this shloka. If we scrutinizingly study this proposition, we understand that the Mahajana is one, and the royal road to the transcendental world is also one. In the Mundaka Upanishad 1-12, it is said. Oh, hold on, sorry. We got Barry on the call too. Thanks for joining, Barry. Man, I was wondering why I was feeling so transcendental in here. Tad Vigyanartam Saguru Meva Pikachet Samit Pada Pani Shrotriam Brahmanishtam. In order to learn the transcendental science, one must approach the bona fide spiritual master in disciplic succession, who is fixed in the absolute truth. Thus, it has been enjoined herewith that in order to receive that transcendental knowledge, one must approach the Guru. Therefore, if the absolute truth is one, about which we think there is no difference of opinion, the Guru also cannot be two. The Acharya Dev, for whom we have assembled together to offer our homage, is not the Guru of a sectarian institution or one out of many differing exponents of the truth. On the contrary, he is the Jagat Guru, or the Guru of all of us. The only difference is that some obey him wholeheartedly, while others do not obey him directly. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 11:17-27, it is said, Acharyam mam vijaniyan navamanyeta karhichit namartya budhya suyeta sarvadeva mayo guru. One should understand the spiritual master to be as good as I am, said the Blessed Lord. Nobody should be jealous of the spiritual master or think of him as an ordinary man, because the spiritual master is the sum total of all demigods. That is, the Acharya has been identified with God himself. He has nothing to do with the affairs of this mundane world. He does not descend here to meddle with the affairs of temporary necessities, but to deliver the fallen, conditioned souls, the souls or entities who have come here to the material world with a motive of enjoyment by the mind and the 5 organs of sense perception. He appears before us to reveal the light of the Vedas and to bestow upon us the blessings of full-fledged freedom, after which we should hanker at every step of our life's journey. The transcendental knowledge of the Vedas was first uttered by God to Brahma, the creator of this particular universe. From Brahma, the knowledge descended to Narada, from Narada to Vyasadeva, from Vyasadeva to Madhva, and in this process of disciplic succession, the transcendental knowledge was transmitted by one disciple to another until it reached Lord Gauranga, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Until it reached Lord Gauranga, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who posed as the disciple and successor of Sri Ishwara Puri. The present Acharya Dev is the 10th disciplic representative of Sri Rupa Goswami, the original representative of Lord Chaitanya, who preached this transcendental tradition in its fullness. The knowledge that we receive from our Gurudev is not different from that imparted by God himself, and the succession of the Acharyas in the preceptorial line of Brahma, meaning it's unbroken. We adore this auspicious day as Sri Vyasa Puja Tithi, because the Acharya is the living representative of Vyasadeva, the divine compiler of the Vedas, the Puranas, the Bhagavad Gita, the Mahabharata, and the Srimad Bhagavatam. The spiritual master is representing Vyasadeva. So one who interprets the divine sound or Shabda Brahma by his imperfect sense perception cannot be a real spiritual guru, because in the absence of proper disciplinary training under the bona fide Acharya, the interpreter is sure to differ from Vyasadeva, as the Mayavadis do. Srila Vyasadeva is the prime authority of Vedic revelation, and therefore such an irrelevant interpreter cannot be accepted as the guru or Acharya, howsoever equipped he may be with all the acquirements of material knowledge. As it is said in the Padma Purana, Sampradaya vihinaye mantraste nishpalamata. Translation: unless you are initiated by a bona fide spiritual master in the disciplic succession, the mantra that you might have received is without any effect. It's an important point too, because many people will take mantras off YouTube or this, that, or the other, but unless one surrenders to a spiritual master, it doesn't have the effect. Even chanting an Om, it is spiritual vibration, but unless one's chanting it under the guidance of a spiritual master and living according to the process to approach that mantra, then they won't be able to access it. So on the other hand, one who has received the transcendental knowledge by oral reception from the bona fide preceptor in the disciplic chain, and who has sincere regard for the real Acharya, must needs be enlightened with the revealed knowledge of the Vedas. But this knowledge is permanently sealed to the cognitive approach of the empiricists. As it is said in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.23, Yasya deve para bhaktir yata deve tathagarau tasyaite gatityahyarta prakashante mahatmana. Only unto those great souls who simultaneously have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Wow, that's a pretty cool verse. It's a famous verse too. Gentlemen, our knowledge is so poor, our senses are so imperfect, and our sources are so limited that it is not possible for us to have even the slightest knowledge of the absolute region without surrendering ourselves at the lotus feet of Sri Vyasadeva or his bona fide representative. Every moment we are being deceived by the knowledge of our direct perception. It is all the creation or concoction of the mind, which is always deceiving, changing, and flickering. We cannot know anything of the transcendental region by our limited, perverted method of observation and experiment. But all of us can lend our ears for the oral reception of the transcendental sound transmitted from that region to this, through the unadulterated medium of Sri Gurudev or Sri Vyasadeva. Therefore, gentlemen, we should surrender ourselves today at the feet of the representative of Sri Vyasadeva for the elimination of all our differences bred by our unsubmissive attitude. It It is accordingly said in the Sri Gita, Bhagavad Gita 4:34. Tadviti pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Just approach the wise and bona fide spiritual master, surrender unto him first, and try to understand him by inquiries and service. Such a wise spiritual master will enlighten you with transcendental knowledge, for he has already known the absolute truth. To receive the transcendental knowledge, we must completely surrender ourselves to the real Acharya in a spirit of ardent inquiry and service. Actual performance of service to the Absolute under the guidance of the Acharya is the only vehicle by which we can assimilate the transcendental knowledge. Today's meeting for offering our humble services and homage to the feet of the Acharya Day will enable us to be favored with the capacity for assimilating the transcendental knowledge so kindly transmitted by him to all persons, without distinction. Gentlemen, we are all more or less proud of our past Indian civilization, but we actually do not know the real nature of that civilization. We cannot be proud of our past material civilization, which is now 1,000 times greater than in days gone by. It is said that we are passing through the age of darkness, the Kali Yuga. What is this darkness? The darkness cannot be due to backwardness in material knowledge, because we now have more of it than formerly. If not we ourselves, our neighbors, at any rate, have plenty of it. Therefore, we must conclude that the darkness of the present age is not due to a lack of material advancement, but that we have lost the clue to our spiritual advancement, which is the prime necessity of human life and the criterion of the highest type of human civilization. Throwing of bombs from airplanes is no advancement of civilization from the primitive, uncivilized practice of dropping big stones on the heads of enemies from the tops of hills. Improvement of the art of killing our neighbors by means of machine guns and poisonous gases is certainly no advancement from primitive barbarism, which prided itself on its art of killing by bows and arrows. Nor does the development of a sense of pampered selfishness prove anything more than intellectual animalism. True human civilization is very different from all these states. And therefore, in the Katha Upanishad 1.3.14, there is the emphatic call, Utishta Jagrata Prapya Varan Nibodhata Shurasya Dar Nishita Doratyaya Dorgam Patas Tat Kavayo Vadanti. I don't know that meter, but please wake up and try to understand the boon that you now have in this human form of life. The path of spiritual realization is very difficult. It is sharp like a razor's edge. That is the opinion of learned transcendental scholars. Thus, while others were yet in the womb of historical oblivion, the sages of India had developed a different kind of civilization, which enabled them to know themselves. They had discovered that we are not at all material entities, but that we are all spiritual, permanent, and indestructible servants of the Absolute. But because we have, against our better judgment, chosen to completely identify ourselves with this present material existence, our sufferings have multiplied according to the inexorable law of birth and death, with its consequent diseases and anxieties. Because we have, against our better judgment, sorry, someone walked in the door, so I'm just getting focused. Because we have, against our better judgment, chosen to completely identify ourselves with this present material existence, our sufferings have multiplied according to the inexorable law of birth and death, with its consequent diseases and anxieties. These sufferings cannot be really mitigated by any provision of material happiness, because matter and spirit are completely different elements. It is just as if you took an aquatic animal out of water and put it on the land, supplying all manner of happiness possible on land. The deadly sufferings of the animal are not capable of being relieved at all until it is taken out of its foreign environment. Spirit and matter are completely contradictory things. All of us are spiritual entities. We cannot have perfect happiness with our birthright, which is our birthright, We cannot have perfect happiness, which is our birthright, however much we may meddle with the affairs of mundane things. Perfect happiness can be ours only when we are restored to our natural state of spiritual existence. This is the distinctive message of our ancient Indian civilization. This is the message of the Gita. This is the message of the Vedas and the Puranas. And this is the message of all the real acharyas, including our present Acharya Dev in the line of Lord Chaitanya. Gentlemen, although it is imperfectly that we have been enabled by His grace to understand the sublime messages of our Acharya Dev, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajak Acharya Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, we must admit that we have realized definitely that the divine message from His holy lips is the congenial thing for suffering humanity. All of us should hear Him patiently. If we listen to the transcendental sound without unnecessary opposition, we will surely have mercy upon us. He will surely have mercy upon us. The Acharya's message is to take us back to our original home, back to God. Let me repeat, therefore, that we should hear Him patiently. Follow Him in the measure of our conviction. Follow Him in the measure of our conviction, and bow down at His lotus feet for releasing us from our present causeless unwillingness for serving the Absolute and all souls. From the Gita we learn that even after the destruction of the body, the Atma, or the self, the soul, is not destroyed. He is always the same, always new and fresh. Fire cannot burn him, water cannot dissolve him, the air cannot dry him up, and the sword cannot kill him. He is everlasting and eternal. And this is also confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:84-13. Yasyatma buddhi kunupe chudatuke swadi kalatradishu baume jadit. Yatirta buddhi salile nakarhichid janeshwa bigyeshu saeva gokaraha. Anyone who accepts this bodily bag of three elements, bile, mucus, and air, as his self, who has an affinity for an intimate relationship with his wife and children, who considers his land worshipable, who takes bath in the waters of the holy places of pilgrimage, but never takes advantage of those persons who are in actual knowledge. He is no better than an ass or a cow. Unfortunately, in these days we have all been turned foolish by neglecting our real comfort and identifying the material cage with ourselves. We have concentrated all our energies for the meaningless upkeep of the material cage for its own sake, completely neglecting the captive soul within. The cage is meant for the undoing of the bird. The cage is meant for the undoing of the bird. The bird is not meant for the welfare of the cage. Let us, therefore, deeply ponder this. All our activities are now turned toward the upkeep of the cage, and the most we do is try to give some food to the mind by art and literature. But we do not know that this mind is also material in a more subtle form. This is stated in the Bhagavad Gita 7:4. Bhumirapunalo vayu kammano buddha evacha ahankara iti yamme bina prakrtirashtada. Earth, fire, water, air, sky, intelligence, mind, and ego are all my separated energies. We have scarcely tried to find any food to the soul. We have scarcely tried to give any food to the soul, which is distinct from the body and mind. Therefore, we are all committing suicide in the proper sense of the term. The message of the Acharya Dev is to give us a warning to halt such wrong activities. Let us therefore bow down at his lotus feet for the unalloyed mercy and kindness he has bestowed upon us. Gentlemen, do not for a moment think that my Guru Dev wants to put a complete break on the modern civilization, an impossible feat. But let us learn from him the art of making the best use of a bad bargain, and let us understand the importance of this human life, which is fit for the highest development of true consciousness. The best use of this rare human life should not be neglected, as it is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11:9-29. Labdva sudurlabhamidam bahusambhavante manusya artadamidnit anityamapi hadiraha tornamyate tanapated anumrityayavam nishraya saya vishaya kalusarvatasya. This human form of life is obtained after many, many births, this is the translation. And although it is not permanent, it can offer the highest benefits. Therefore, a sober and intelligent man should immediately try to fulfill his mission and maintain the highest profit in life and attain the highest profit in life before another death occurs. He should avoid sense gratification, which is available in all circumstances. Let us not misuse this human life in the vain pursuit of material enjoyment, or in other words, for the sake of only eating, sleeping, fearing, and sensuous activities. The Acharya Dev's message is conveyed in the words of Sri Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1, 2, section 1, chapter 2, text 255 through 56. Anasaktasya vishayan yatarham upayunjataha nirbandha krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate prapanchikataya buddhya harisambandhi vastuna mumukshu bi parityago vairagyam palgukatyate. Translation: one is said to be situated in the fully renounced order of life if he lives in accordance with Krishna consciousness. He should be without attachment for sense gratification and should accept only what is necessary for the upkeep of the body. On the other hand, one who renounces things that could be used in the service of Krishna under the pretext that such things are material does not practice complete renunciation. The purport of these shlokas can only be realized by fully developing the rational portion of our life, not the animal portion. Sitting at the feet of the Acharya Dev, let us try to understand from this transcendental source of knowledge what we are. What is this universe? What is God? And what is our relationship with Him? The message of Lord Chaitanya is the message for all living entities and the message of the living world. Lord Chaitanya did not bother himself with the upliftment of this dead world, which is suitably named Martyaloka, the world where everything is destined to die. He appeared before us 450 years ago to tell us something of the transcendental universe, where everything is permanent and everything is for the service of the Absolute. But recently, Lord Chaitanya has been misrepresented by some unscrupulous persons, and the highest philosophy of the Lord has been misinterpreted to be the cult of the lowest type of society. We are glad to announce tonight that our Acharya Dev, with his usual kindness, saved us from this horrible type of degradation, and therefore we bow down at his lotus feet with all humility. At that time, and still it's possible today, very much so, it's happening, actually. The message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his teachings were being misrepresented by people who were exploiting them to basically gratify their senses. They were anyway, in a very gross way, engaging in illicit affairs and claiming it as spiritual and as the message of Lord Chaitanya. And that became, it cast a very, or it left a very bad taste in the public for the followers of Lord Chaitanya, and also their reputation was tainted. But that's Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they came and reestablished what is the original message. Actually, they presented the original message as it is and defeated with sound scriptural and logical arguments against those persons who were misrepresenting. Okay. So therefore we bow down to his lotus feet with all humility. Gentlemen, it has been a mania of the cultured or uncultured society of the present day to accredit the personality of Godhead with merely impersonal features and to stultify him by claiming that he has no senses, no form, no activity, no head, no legs, and no enjoyment. This has also been the pleasure of the modern scholars due to their sheer lack of proper guidance and true introspection in the spiritual realm. All these empiricists think alike. All the enjoyable things should be monopolized by the human society or by a particular class only, and the impersonal God should be a mere order supplier for their whimsical feats. We are happy that we have been relieved of this horrible type of malady by the mercy of His Divine Grace, Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. He is our eye-opener, our eternal Father, our eternal preceptor, and our eternal guide. Let us therefore bow down at His lotus feet on this auspicious day. Gentlemen, although we are like ignorant children in the knowledge of the transcendence, still His Divine Grace, my Gurudev, has kindled a small fire within us to dissipate the inconceivable darkness of empirical knowledge. We are now so much on the safe side that no amount of philosophical argument by the empiric schools of thought can deviate us an inch from the position of our eternal dependence on the lotus feet of His Divine Grace. Furthermore, we are prepared to challenge the most erudite scholars of the Mayavad school and prove that the personality of Godhead and His transcendental sports in Goloka alone constitute the sublime information of the Vedas. There are explicit indications of this in the Chandogya Upanishad 8.13.1. Shamach chavalam prapadye shavalach chayam prapadye. Sorry. Shamach chavalam prapadye shavalach shyamam prapadye. By receiving the mercy of Krishna, I surrender unto His energy, Radha, and for receiving the mercy of His energy, I surrender unto Krishna. Also in the Rig Veda 122:20, Tad Vishno Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surya Diviva Chakshur Atatam Vishnu Yat Paramam Padam. The lotus feet of Lord Vishnu are the supreme objective of all the demigods. These lotus feet of the Lord are as enlightening as the sun in the sky. The plain truth so vividly explained in the Bhagavad Gita and the Gita, which is the central lesson of the Vedas, is not understood or even suspected by the most powerful scholars of the empiric schools. Herein lies the secret of Sri Vyasa Puja. When we meditate on the transcendental pastimes of the absolute Godhead, we are proud to feel that we are His eternal servitors, and we become jubilant and dance with joy. All glory to my Divine Master, for it is He who has out of His unceasing flow of mercy stirred up within us such a movement of eternal existence. Let us bow down at His lotus feet. Gentlemen, had He not appeared before us to deliver us from the thraldom of this gross worldly delusion, surely we should have remained for lives and ages in the darkness of helpless captivity. Had He not appeared before us, we would not have been able to understand the eternal truth of the sublime teaching of Lord Chaitanya. Had He not appeared before us, we could not have been able to know the significance of the first shloka of the Brahma Samhita. Ishwara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Nadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karna Karnam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and He is the prime cause of all causes. Let's just see how, okay, we'll finish this last paragraph. Personally, I have no hope for any direct service for the coming crores of births of the sojourn of my life. But I am confident that someday or other I shall be delivered from this mire of delusion in which I am at present so deeply sunk. A crore, I believe, is like 100,000. So, I believe so. Is that, crore?
500.
A million, okay, so a million. So many. Srila Prabhupada in his humility is saying that I have no hope for any direct service for the coming millions of births of the sojourn of my life, but I am confident that someday or other I shall be delivered from this mire of delusion in which I am at present so deeply sunk. Therefore, let me with all my earnestness pray at the lotus feet of my Divine Master to allow me to suffer the lot for which I am destined due to my past misdoings, but to let me have this power of recollection, that I am nothing but a tiny servant of the Almighty, absolute Godhead, realized through the unflinching mercy of my Divine Master. Let me therefore bow down at His lotus feet with all humility at my command. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. So that was an offering to his spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada had written. And I believe that's a good stopping point. If we have any discussion about any of that. Is everybody still alive, or is it swooning in ecstasy, or did I read everybody to sleep?
We're all alive.
All right. Haribo. We have life from Antonio.
Yes.
I
We're
like the
alive,
part,
alive and well.
Jackson, is your question?
I like the part where it was like where Prabhupada said about how there something about the cage that we're not meant to like
Yeah.
upkeep the cage, but it's like for the undoing of the bird. And I was like, wow, that's poetic.
Yeah. But he's very poetic in the way he writes and expresses.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Mhm. Yeah, there's a nice picture of that. I think that's in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto. You can find that picture. And
Oh, no way, I have it right here. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
as the man is like the big wealthy man, very fat, sitting on the couch, but then there's this maid who's taking care of the cage of the bird, and the bird's sitting there. Interesting. Yeah. I like this verse. This is a beautiful verse here. The meter of it was really beautiful, and then that was also nice. Labdva sudorlabamidam bahusambhavante manushis artadamid nityamapi hadiraha. Tornam yate tanapated anumrityam yavan nishreyasaya vishayat kalusarvatasyat. Mhm. It's summed up in the statement Srila Prabhupada says, will one make the best use of a bad bargain? I like that. Hmm? Yes. The human form of life is obtained after many, many births. It's very powerful, actually. We don't recognize that we're in a very precarious situation in this world. There's one verse. Anyway, Jalamala Jivana Talamala. I can't remember the verse, but it's really beautiful. And it's describing that our life in this world is similar to a drop of water resting on top of a lotus leaf. And the lotus leaf, and that it can fall off at any moment, basically. We can die at any moment. We don't know. It's a very precarious condition. The lotus leaf has a waxy coating which keeps water from staying on it. It beads up and then slides off. So our existence in these bodies is in a similar sense like that. If just a little wind comes by, blown off. It's at any time. It's happening every day. I mean, so many people are dying every moment, and sometimes they're close to us, sometimes they're not. This past year has been really heavy. A lot of Prabhupada's disciples have been leaving. And just this first part of the year, so many of them have left, and some of them a little bit unexpectedly. And yeah, it's very sobering. We should Dhira. We want to become Dhira. Dhira means a sober person. So if we become sober and grave, these are austerities of the mind, actually. It's described in the Bhagavad Gita. There's a section in the 17th chapter, which describes, I believe, the 17th chapter. It describes different types of austerity. There's austerity of the body, which is like worshiping the spiritual master, worshiping the Lord, engaging in service and things. And um, then there's austerity of our speech, which means that we should speak words which are truthful, spiritually, of course, and materially as well. We should be transparent. And we should also speak in such a way, although we're speaking the truth, that it's beneficial and it's not agitating to others. So we have to learn how to present the truth in such a way that it can be heard and appreciated. Although sometimes in there is a necessity for speaking the truth plainly, although we should always be humble in our presentation. And then, what else? The austerity of the mind, which one of them is that we think of always how to do, basically, we think of how to do good for others, but we're also very grave, meaning that we understand that we have an ultimate purpose and we don't lose sight of that. Even if we have so many things going on in our life, we have an inner gravity that I have to focus on self-realization. And even if at the moment I've got different distractions going on, I'm trying to remember to offer those things in service and gradually bring it back to a state of absorption and Krishna consciousness. So gravity will help us navigate this world in a way that we don't get waylaid by other people's desires or other people's attractions or attachments, whatever it may be, the association. Mhm. So anyway, those are some thoughts as looking over this.
Uh, on that point, and I want to go back 3 steps. You mentioned that we lost few very good devotees, and
Hmm.
I don't know if you are familiar with Charu Das from.
Yeah, Monday. That was just on Monday.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. That figure, I never met him or anything, but I used to listen to him a lot, and
Oh yeah,
so just wanted to share that.
yeah.
It
He's
was
a
it
very
was really it was really impactful for me for my discovery of the movement.
yeah, and
I was very sad to hear.
he was as far as I've understood, he's a real leader of people. That was a quality that he had,
Right.
and he was able to organize and make a beautiful project there in Utah, Spanish Fork. We have a
You,
beautiful temple, which it is one of the favorite temples in America. It's a replica of Kusum Sarovara from Vrindavan, which is a beautiful um, place at Govardhan Hill. And he would hold this huge um, holy festival there every year. And he traveled all over the country and did holy festivals all over. And tens and 20,000, 30,000, I don't know how many, so many thousands of people would come and attend this festival. And it was huge. Everybody was chanting. There was so much prasadam being distributed. And he worked so well with the community in that area, the Mormons, because the Utah is very much Mormon state. And
right.
he integrated so well. And he was very empowered person. So when someone like this leaves, yeah, it's not so easy. We're very fortunate to have had such nice people, nice devotees.
Yeah. And I mean, if you think about it, he acquired pieces of land a little bit at the time in the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden, well, all of a sudden, I mean, he campaigned and raised money, and I think he was raising what, llamas and selling
Llamas, yeah,
something,
they have llamas, they have peacocks, they have different
right?
things.
And yeah, he became, he made friends with everybody and just built a community from
Mhm.
everybody. And like you said, Mormons and had this temple and the radio station just, was like crazy.
Mhm. Yeah, he was always
Anyway,
thinking of how to present Krishna consciousness and do it
right.
in a large way.
Anyway, okay. Just
Uh-huh.
wanted to
Yeah,
share that with you guys.
I like this point here. We cannot have perfect happiness. All of us are spiritual entities. We cannot have perfect happiness, which is our birthright, however much we may meddle with the affairs of mundane things. I like that. I'm going to stop meddling with the affairs of mundane things. Oh, but I love the words that Srila Prabhupada uses. He's describing this. Sometimes he'll say, we're just loitering in the material world. We have to stop loitering in the material world.
Long,
It's like, I don't know, it's like especially if you have some knowledge and you're kind of like not fully applying it, it's kind of like maybe I don't know if other people have had this experience, but when you have something really important to do, and instead of doing it, you do all kinds of other stuff, and you know you need to be doing something, like you have something you need to do, but you kind of just like you start picking stuff up, or like kind of just twiddling your thumbs and looking for some other way to be distracted. But we have a bigger purpose in life, and one who's made some spiritual advancement has had some experience and some perspective, um, then that sense can be strong in their life even before they come in contact with devotional service and so on.
So we have to stop loitering in the material world.
Yeah. Krishna. Okay, well, Jai Hari seems he needs something. So we can wrap it up here.
Oh, no, no,
Oh,
no.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hey,
Krishna.
bro.
I messed up. I told Jai Hari I'd give him this piano.
No, there's no mess up.
I forgot to have lunch today.
It's a great success right now.
I didn't get over there. I'm going for dinner instead. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna end the call unless we have any burning desires to share something, or even any little desire to share something. Please do.
Yeah, all good here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you.
Hare Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Bol, Hare Bol.
Krishna.
Haribo! All glories to the Green Club. Hare Krishna. Why didn't you ask a question when we were on the call?